Another mystery buried deep in the hills of eastern Washington keeps resurfacing, a bottomless pit said to be a pathway to the paranormal.
Imagine a hole so deep it plunges over 7.5 miles into the earth. Welcome to the Kola Superdeep Borehole. Years ago, the Soviets used it for secret experiments and hid historic treasures down there. People nearby hear strange sounds emanating from it late at night. Recently, with new drilling tech, scientists discovered a peculiar new layer deep underground. Could this hole be concealing the Soviets' most significant secrets? Let's look much deeper into the details of the most mysterious and darkest hole in Russia. The deepest hole in Russia. The Kola Superdeep Borehole, located in the remote Kola Peninsula of Russia, was a remarkable yet somewhat futile effort to delve as deep as possible into the earth. Initiated by Soviet scientists in 1970, this drilling project represented a quest for scientific knowledge and a display of Cold War-era competitiveness. Over the span of more than 2 decades, this venture aimed to pierce through the Earth's crust, reaching a depth of 7.6 miles. However, this achievement pales in comparison to the total thickness of the Earth's crust, which is about 25 miles thick. Throughout the project, the team faced numerous technical challenges due to the harsher underground conditions than anticipated. The machinery used for drilling was frequently pushed beyond its capabilities, often breaking down under the intense heat and pressure. This constant battle with the equipment frequently made the project's scientific goals seem secondary to overcoming these engineering hurdles. Many might view the Kola Superdeep Borehole as a grand but impractical gesture, more about setting records than genuine scientific discovery. While the drill did uncover some intriguing findings, such as water at unexpected depths and granite where basalt was expected, these discoveries often led to more questions than definitive answers. The harsh realities of the project came to the forefront when the temperatures at the bottom of the borehole exceeded expectations, reaching about 356 degrees Fahrenheit. These extreme conditions made further drilling unfeasible, eventually leading to the abandonment of the project. The drilling was stopped not because the scientists had learned everything they set out to discover, but because it simply became too difficult to continue. Despite its abrupt end, the Kola Superdeep Borehole did contribute to our understanding of the Earth's deep crust and led to some revisions in geological theories. However, the practical implications of these contributions are still a matter of debate. The knowledge gained has had limited impact outside of academic circles, being more a subject of scholarly interest than of practical application. Let's move from Egypt's sandy deserts to the rocky landscapes of southeastern Turkey, where the ancient stones of Göbekli Tepe change our understanding of human history. Hunter-gatherers built Göbekli Tepe's massive temple. In the 1960s, an alliance between the University of Chicago and Istanbul University made a fascinating discovery at Göbekli Tepe that was, regrettably, initially ignored. At that time, the importance of this discovery was not understood, and the site was quickly forgotten, which would later be viewed as a substantial error. It was not until the mid-1990s that this site began to capture the attention it warranted, mainly due to the work of German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt, who resumed excavation in 1994, discovering what some believe to be the earliest known temple in the world. Situated in the harsh, rugged landscapes of southeastern Turkey, Göbekli Tepe is cleverly concealed under what seems to be an ordinary hill. Beneath this plain exterior lies a stunning man-made structure that is older than both Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids, with its creation dating back around 11,600 years. This was a groundbreaking find because it upended the previously accepted notion that human civilization evolved linearly from roaming hunter-gatherers to settled agricultural societies that then built temples and monuments as they became socially complex. Göbekli Tepe throws a wrench in this straightforward narrative of human history. It appeared in an age before agriculture was established, suggesting its builders were still hunter-gatherers. This poses intriguing questions about their reasons and abilities for constructing a temple complex at such a time. The site contains massive stone pillars, some over 20 feet high and weighing up to 10 tons, arranged in intentional circles that have endured through millennia. These were not merely thrown together, they were strategically placed with specific intentions, possibly as part of early ritualistic or ceremonial practices that predate other religious structures by thousands of years. Archaeological investigations indicate that Göbekli Tepe might have been a pivotal site for communal gatherings, potentially linked to the earliest forms of religious or spiritual practices. The detailed carvings and embossed figures on the pillars, which prominently feature a variety of animals, suggest these images held significant symbolic meanings for the people who crafted them. The sophistication in art and architecture evident here is extraordinary, particularly for what was assumed to be a straightforward hunter-gatherer society. Furthermore, the revelation of Göbekli Tepe has reshaped our understanding of social organization in the early phases of human history. Erecting such a grand structure would have required substantial collaboration, likely orchestrated by a leader or council, which implies that complex social structures might have been established earlier than we previously believed. This collaborative effort would have involved detailed planning, from stone gathering and transport to the precise construction of the site, indicating a level of organized social complexity not typically associated with hunter-gatherer groups. The layout of the site, with its geometrically arranged pillars, showcases an advanced grasp of both geometry and spatial organization, hinting at the builder's sophisticated cognitive abilities. Each circle was carefully planned and constructed with exactness, further highlighting the advanced capabilities of its creators. One particularly captivating aspect of Göbekli Tepe is its possible alignment with celestial bodies. Some researchers believe the pillars could have functioned as markers to track celestial events like solstices and equinoxes, potentially making Göbekli Tepe not just the earliest known temple, but also among the earliest astronomical observatories. This alignment with the stars may have had significant implications for agricultural or ritualistic timing, which were crucial for early societies. Moreover, the choice of location for Göbekli Tepe, in a region that, at the time, would have been fertile and full of life, might have been strategic. This lush environment would have supported a rich and diverse range of wildlife, providing ample resources for a hunter-gatherer population. The site's selection likely reflects the importance of the surrounding landscape in the spiritual or religious practices at the time, possibly representing a sacred natural space that was central to the community's beliefs and rituals. Ongoing excavations and research at Göbekli Tepe continue to provide valuable insights into the Neolithic era, offering a glimpse into the lives of those who built this site. Findings such as stone tools, animal remains, and evidence of possible ceremonial use indicate that Göbekli Tepe was a site of major significance for many generations across different groups. What drove these pre-agricultural people to create such an elaborate and monumental site, and what was its significance to them? The immense stone pillars are more than just a display of artistic impulse. They are testament to a complex societal structure capable of coordinating such an immense project. Yet, the true purpose of Göbekli Tepe remains mysterious, hidden due to the lack of written records from the era. Was it a ceremonial ground, a communal gathering spot, or perhaps a monument to unknown deities? The puzzle of Göbekli Tepe starkly challenges modern preconceptions about ancient civilizations. It disputes the linear progression theory of human development, which suggests a sequence from foraging to farming, followed by settled life and the development of complex societal structures, proposing instead that the drive to perform communal rituals or commemorate significant events might have been a catalyst for social organization and cultural evolution. Göbekli Tepe's implications are profound, stretching beyond archaeological circles to challenge foundational assumptions about how history is understood. It compels us to rethink what we believe about societal evolution. Were temples merely expressions of already established complex societies, or could they have been catalysts that helped organize and define social development? Additionally, the methods and means by which these early humans constructed such a monumental site add layers of complexity to the puzzle. Without advanced tools or known engineering techniques, their achievements mock our modern arrogance, showing a level of sophistication we might be hesitant to acknowledge in such ancient peoples. As investigations progress, each stone uncovered at Göbekli Tepe could potentially rewrite history, providing clues not just about the builders, but about the broader narrative of human civilization itself. Venturing into the Altai Mountains, the Denisova Cave holds secrets that redefine our ancient human history. Denisova Cave's DNA Undisclosed Revelations.
A game changer, because we used to think that it was just the Neanderthals. 50,000 years ago, that's it. It was just them.
Located in the harsh, rugged Altai Mountains of Siberia, Denisova Cave's modest entrance hides its huge importance to the study of early humans. This simple cave became famous only in 2008, when a small piece of a finger bone was found. This tiny bone piece turned out to be key to understanding human history. It contained genetic information that introduced us to the Denisovans, an ancient human group we didn't know about before. This discovery changed how we see the human family tree, adding complexity to a story we thought only included modern humans and Neanderthals. The Denisovans show us that ancient human species mixed and lived together over thousands of years. The genes left by Denisovans, especially noticeable in people living in Asia and Oceania today, tell a story of survival, adaptation, and interaction in diverse, tough environments. Denisova Cave has continued to be a goldmine for researchers, providing more Denisovan bones and many artifacts that tell us about their physical traits and skills. For example, a well-preserved Denisovan jawbone has helped scientists figure out what this mysterious group looked like and how they managed to live in their cold, harsh surroundings. The cave has also offered clues that challenge our old ideas about what prehistoric humans could do. Tools and jewelry, like a finely made bone needle and a bracelet from green stone, show that Denisovans used advanced tools and took part in symbolic activities, things we once thought only modern humans did. These findings show that Denisovans did more than just survive. They also made art and tools that were about more than just practical use. Studies of DNA have revealed mixing between Denisovans, Neanderthals, and modern humans, showing a complex network of interactions that have shaped the genetics of people today. This mixing highlights a dynamic history of migration and cultural sharing. Moreover, Denisova Cave has shown that it was a meeting place for Neanderthals and modern humans, maybe at different times. The layers of the cave have given us many objects that show it was used for a long time. A 40,000-year-old bracelet is particularly notable for its complex design, showing a high level of skill and an understanding of beauty. This bracelet, along with other discoveries, challenges old ideas about the mental and cultural abilities of ancient humans. It suggests they had the skills not only to survive, but to create beauty and express thoughts through objects, pointing to a complex and rich prehistoric human life. These discoveries keep reshaping our understanding of early human history, with each new find adding more detail to our story of origins. The ongoing digs at Denisova Cave continue to light up the lives of these ancient people, possibly offering new insights into their daily lives, social structures, and how they interacted with their world and each other. As we continue to explore Denisova Cave, each discovery, be it a small bone fragment, a piece of DNA, or an intricate artifact, adds a vital piece to the puzzle of human history. Below the waves at Yonaguni, a surprising find by diver Kihachiro Aratake stirs debate over ancient civilizations. Is it the sunken city, or just a simple stone? In 1986, Kihachiro Aratake, a seasoned diver exploring the waters off Yonaguni Island, Japan, encountered something extraordinary. What he found beneath the waves seemed to be a man-made structure, a rare and startling sight that caught him completely off guard. This discovery, which came to be known as the Yonaguni Monument, quickly became a subject of intense discussion and debate within the field of underwater archaeology. With its terraces, steps, and massive platforms, this structure looked like it could be the ruins of an ancient, sunken city. Enthusiasts of the idea suggest that this could represent a complex civilization that existed more than 10,000 years ago. If this theory were true, it would dramatically push back the understood timeline of architectural and civilizational development. The formation stretches about 328 feet long and 66 feet wide, and is primarily composed of sandstone and mudstone. The most striking feature of this monument is a massive, flat-topped pyramid-like structure that stands out from the rest. Arataki and others believe this structure closely resembles pyramids built by early civilizations in other parts of the world, which has fueled further speculation and scholarly debate. Professor Masaki Kimura of the University of the Ryukyus has been a vocal proponent of the theory that the monument is man-made. He argues that the monument's sharp angles, precise edges, and geometric patterns are evidence of human design and craftsmanship. According to Kimura and his supporters, these features might have been constructed by a prehistoric civilization, perhaps before the last ice age, when sea levels were significantly lower, and Yonaguni was part of a larger landmass. However, there is also a considerable number of skeptics who believe the Yonaguni Monument is simply a natural formation. They argue that the uniformity of the sandstone's fracture patterns can create shapes that appear man-made, mimicking architectural designs purely by coincidence. These critics suggest that the seemingly carved markings and geometrical precision are not enough to conclusively declare the monument a work of human ingenuity. This ongoing debate touches on deeper questions about human perception and the interpretation of ambiguous evidence. If humans indeed crafted the monument, it would radically alter our understanding of prehistoric human capabilities and achievements. Such a discovery would indicate that early humans were constructing sophisticated, large-scale structures at a time when much of the human population was focused on basic survival. The implications of such a discovery extend beyond historical and archaeological significance. They would challenge our entire perspective on ancient human societies and their capabilities. It would suggest that we have vastly underestimated the sophistication and resourcefulness of our ancestors. Discovered in 1887 near Glasgow, Scotland, the Kokno stone is a significant slab that measures about 42 by 26 feet, adorned with intricate carvings that captivate historians and archaeologists alike. These petroglyphs, which include a dense array of swirls, geometric shapes, and cup and ring marks, are recognized as some of the most striking examples of rock art in Scotland, and indeed Europe, revealing a sophistication that points to a deliberate and significant effort in their creation. The carvings on the Kokno stone are not just elaborate decorations. They hold much deeper meanings that continue to puzzle those who study them. Historians speculate that these markings could be ancient symbols used for astronomical purposes, acting as a primitive calendar system to mark the seasons and track celestial events, a theory that stems from their alignment and layout, which appear to correspond with astronomical phenomena. Other experts believe the petroglyphs had a spiritual or ritualistic purpose, suggesting that the stone might have been used in sacred ceremonies or served as a focal point for gatherings, possibly in connection with ancient local customs that venerated natural and celestial cycles. These theories propose that the stone's intricate designs facilitated communication with the spiritual realm or served as a canvas to document significant celestial alignments for ritualistic use. There's also a theory that the stone's carvings functioned as navigational aids within a sacred or ritually significant landscape. This perspective suggests that Neolithic people might have used such marked stones as waypoints or markers, guiding community members along routes that had religious or ceremonial importance. The detailed carvings would serve as a map or code, understandable only to those versed in their meanings, directing the way through pathways used during religious pilgrimages or tribal migrations. These interpretations highlight a complex understanding of the world by the creators of the Kokno stone. Whether they were skilled astronomers, devout spiritual leaders, or both, these ancient artists used the stone as a multifunctional canvas that communicated knowledge and beliefs in a tangible form that has endured millennia. The stone's history took a dramatic turn when, due to concerns over vandalism, it was buried in 1964 to protect it from damage. This prehistoric artifact lay hidden for decades until 2016, when it was finally excavated once more, allowing a new generation of researchers to study it with modern technology. Techniques like 3D imaging and digital mapping have since provided clearer insights into the carvings, supporting various interpretations of their purpose and enhancing our understanding of the stone's origins. The ongoing debate regarding the Kokno stone's function illustrates the broader challenges in prehistoric archaeology, particularly the difficulty of interpreting artifacts without contemporary documentation. The various theories about the stone's use, from astronomical tool to spiritual icon, reflect a fascination with its potential to rewrite narratives about Europe's Neolithic and Bronze Age cultures. Despite the resurgence of interest and the technological advances applied to its study, the Kokno stone's true purpose remains elusive, shrouded in as much speculation as empirical evidence. Its carvings offer significant cultural insights but resist a definitive interpretation, leaving scholars to debate their meanings based on the best available data. Critics argue that the romanticization of artifacts like the Kokno stone can lead to overzealous interpretations that more reflect our modern biases than the realities of the past. This tendency to impose profound meanings on ancient objects can distort our understanding of their true nature and function. The Kokno stone, famous for its detailed carvings, shows how tough it can be to understand old artifacts. But these carvings aren't the only fascinating things. In other hidden places, you might find the Shroud of Turin, which some believe shows the real face of Jesus. One holy discovery defies modern science. The Shroud of Turin, a simple linen cloth, became famous when people noticed what appeared to be the face of Jesus Christ on it. This image is thought to have appeared during his crucifixion. Many Christians find this artifact fascinating and believe it could be essential proof of their faith if its authenticity is ever confirmed. Historically, the shroud was first mentioned in 1353 in a tiny church in Lille, France, during the 14th century. Interest in the shroud grew significantly in 1898 when Secondo Pia took its first photograph. Surprisingly, the negative from this photo showed a clearer and more detailed image of the face, sparking renewed public and scholarly interest and debates. The debate intensified in 1988 when the shroud was carbon dated by 3 different labs: the University of Oxford, the University of Arizona, and the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. Their findings, which were combined for accuracy, indicated that the linen was made between 1260 and 1390 AD. These results clashed with the belief that the shroud was Jesus' burial cloth from around 33 AD, suggesting it was a medieval creation. The accuracy of the carbon dating, usually within a plus or minus 65-year margin of error, seemed to confirm this newer view, especially among skeptics. The scientific community largely saw this as strong evidence against the shroud's authenticity, indicating it was more likely a medieval creation. However, the story didn't end there. Critics pointed out potential flaws in the carbon dating process, such as the possibility of contamination, or that the tested samples might have been from medieval repairs and not the original cloth. These factors could have significantly affected the dating results. This argument gained support because the shroud's corners, where samples were taken, could have contained newer material from medieval repairs that looked like the original fabric. This possibility cast doubts on the initial carbon dating results. Furthermore, historical records and some artistic representations that might predate the medieval period add complexity to the debate. Shroud supporters use this as indirect evidence that the shroud existed before the dates indicated by carbon dating. Despite these controversies, scientific interest in the shroud remains high. Ongoing research examines everything from the unique chemical makeup of the image's colors to advanced analysis of the textile patterns. New technologies like high-resolution 3D scanning and digital reconstructions help study the fabric and images more thoroughly, sometimes supporting theories that the shroud is authentic and that its creation techniques were unknown in medieval times. However, the debate is still very much alive, with new theories and evidence continually emerging to question established findings. The shroud remains an important religious relic and a subject for broader discussions about biases and scientific disputes. The Shroud of Turin embodies the deep challenges found at the intersection of faith, science, and historical authenticity. Some see it as a link to divine truth, while others view it as a medieval artifact that demonstrates the complex relationship between evidence and belief. This ongoing dialogue between different views has made the shroud a symbol of the continual search for truth, a search complicated by our biases and desires. Today, the shroud is kept in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, Italy, and is shown publicly only occasionally. Its legend continues to attract believers, the curious and skeptics, each drawn by the possibilities it presents, either as one of the greatest archaeological finds or a clever medieval forgery. The mysteries it holds are as deep and unexplored as they are intriguing. You see, in Baghdad, we keep finding amazing things. Like this old jar, it might show that people knew about electricity way before we thought. The surprising Bagdad Battery. In 1938, archaeologists in Baghdad, Iraq, unearthed a peculiar find, a seemingly mundane clay jar that initially didn't attract much attention. However, the contents of this jar, a copper cylinder encasing an iron rod, proved to be both astonishing and puzzling. These elements are arranged in such a way that they closely resemble a galvanic cell, now famously referred to as the Baghdad Battery. Dating back to the Parthian period, around 250 BCE to 224 CE, this artifact suggests that ancient civilizations might have had some understanding of electricity, a phenomenon not scientifically explored until the 18th century. The discovery of this jar suggests that its creators, living over 2 millennia ago, had the knowledge to generate an electric current. This is evidenced by the setup inside the jar, the copper cylinder and iron rod, which, when the jar is filled with an acidic or alkaline substance like vinegar or lemon juice, mimic the components of a modern battery. The academic community has shown keen interest in this find because it implies that ancient people might not only have discovered electricity, but also used it practically, long before the concept was understood in the modern era. Such use challenges our existing timeline of technological progress and suggests a higher level of ancient innovation than commonly acknowledged. A popular theory among historians is that the Baghdad Battery was used for electroplating, depositing a layer of metal onto an object for decoration or protection. This process, which requires an electric current, would signify a sophisticated application of technology. Supporting this, artifacts that appear to have been electroplated have been unearthed in other dogs from the same period, although this connection is speculative. Another possibility is that the Baghdad Battery had medicinal purposes. It could have functioned similarly to modern transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation devices, which use electric currents to manage pain. This theory, while speculative, is supported by the advanced medical practices attributed to ancient civilizations such as the Greeks and Egyptians. However, skepticism persists regarding the battery's intended function. Critics argue that the assembly of the jar's components might be coincidental, not indicative of any designed electrical application. They contend that without direct historical or clearer archaeological evidence, the true purpose of the Baghdad Battery may never be fully understood. Adding complexity to its study, the jar was found in a context mixed with other artifacts from various periods, which could suggest that it might not have originated from the Parthian period, or that the site was contaminated with items from different times. This complicates the interpretation of its origin and use. Despite these controversies, the discussion around the Baghdad Battery has illuminated the capabilities of ancient technologies, prompting scholars to reassess other artifacts from antiquity. This ongoing dialogue not only deepens our understanding of past civilizations, but also appreciates their cleverness and resourcefulness. Ongoing research continues to explore the technological prowess of ancient cultures through artifacts like the Baghdad Battery. Whether it was used for electroplating, medicinal reasons, or even religious rituals, The potential functions of the Bagdad Battery fuel both wonder and scholarly debate. It is evident that the Bagdad Battery, regardless of its original purpose, showcases ancient innovation. Its discovery has sparked discussions that bridge historical epochs, challenging our assumptions about the development of technology. This artifact remains a compelling study in the history of science, symbolizing a direct link to the ingenuity of our ancestors. The implications of such a device are significant and slightly disturbing. It suggests ancient civilizations were part of a narrative typically dominated by more recent historical figures known for their scientific discoveries. This challenges the traditional, somewhat Eurocentric view of scientific progression, which many have long accepted without question. The purpose of the Bagdad Battery is still hotly debated, with some enthusiasts supporting the idea of ancient electroplating, while others suggest more speculative uses, such as medicinal applications akin to modern electrical therapies. While these theories are intriguing, they also invite skepticism. The idea that ancient civilizations used electrical technology for advanced applications like electroplating or medical treatment aligns with modern assumptions that tend to attribute advanced technologies to these ancient peoples, potentially overlooking simpler explanations. Critics of the romantic notion that the Bagdad Battery represents advanced ancient science caution against overzealous interpretations. The evidence for the battery's use as a power source is largely circumstantial, relying more on contemporary experimental outcomes than on solid historical context. No definitive ancient texts or corroborative artifacts have been discovered that would confirm the widespread use or understanding of electricity during that era. What if the Bagdad Battery was neither for electroplating nor medicinal purposes? Could we be overlooking a simpler yet undiscovered function of this ancient artifact? Comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more.